For years, aviation experts, military analysts, and even pilots themselves repeated the same line. A lightweight, single-engine fighter could never outperform the giants of the sky. The idea that a relatively small Swedish aircraft could challenge or even embarrass the world's most advanced jets sounded like pure fantasy. Yet, the moment the Gripen entered real exercises, everything changed. People who once doubted it couldn't explain how this aircraft, designed by a small nation with a limited defense budget, consistently achieved results that looked impossible on paper. The story begins with a brutal reality. Sweden needed a jet capable of fighting against the world's strongest air forces. But it had neither the budget nor the luxury to build a massive twin-engine machine like the F-15 or Eurofighter. The challenge seemed impossible. How do you build a jet that competes with superpowers without spending superpower money? Saab's answer was shocking. Design a fighter that wins not by being bigger, but by being smarter. The first thing pilots noticed was Gripen's insane agility. In dogfights, where every millisecond matters, the jet reacted like it was reading the pilot's mind. What shocked observers most was how easily Gripen could outturn aircraft that were heavier, faster on paper, and much more expensive. During several NATO exercises, the Gripen reportedly got radar locks on aircraft it had no business beating, jets that carried reputations of being untouchable in close combat. Each time analysts tried to justify it as a fluke, the pattern repeated. Gripen got the kill first. But raw maneuverability wasn't the only thing that turned heads. Gripen's electronic warfare system began to develop a mythic reputation. Pilots described it as a cloak of invisibility, and some even compared it to having a silent co-pilot making perfect defensive decisions. During exercises, opposing radar operators became frustrated because the Gripen didn't behave like a normal aircraft. It jammed, spoofed, redirected, and even fed false positions into enemy systems so convincingly that trackers simply gave up. One NATO commander reportedly said, "Fighting a Gripen is like fighting a ghost." It was the moment many realized this wasn't just a budget fighter, it was a smart fighter. The real shock, however, came when the Gripen demonstrated something almost no one believed possible for a modern fourth-generation jet: the ability to operate from frozen highways in the middle of nowhere. While most advanced fighters require large, expensive airbases, the Gripen could land on short, narrow stretches of road, refuel, rearm, and take off again in minutes. A full service team? Not needed. A handful of technicians and a simple support truck were enough. Military strategists were stunned because this capability meant the Gripen could survive the first strike of a major war, while other jets would be stuck on destroyed runways. Even its price-to-performance ratio defied expectations. Countries realized they could buy multiple Gripens for the cost of a single Eurofighter or F-35 and still get a jet capable of running modern warfare missions. What was once dismissed as too cheap to be good turned out to be its greatest strategic strength. Smaller air forces suddenly had access to world-class capability without bankrupting themselves, and that changed the entire game. Yet, despite all these achievements, the moment that truly broke the internet came during a multinational training exercise where a Gripen pilot managed to pull off a simulated kill against a jet considered unbeatable in close-range combat. That event cemented the Gripen's reputation as the underdog that rewrote the rules. For many, it was the moment they finally understood the Swedish philosophy. Don't match your enemy's strength, exploit their weaknesses. Everyone said it was impossible. Everyone said a lightweight fighter couldn't do it. And then, quietly, efficiently, without hype or bragging, the Gripen did exactly what they said it never could. And it didn't do it once, it did it again and again, until even the skeptics were forced to admit, this jet is something different. What truly shocked pilots from larger air forces was how the Gripen consistently outperformed expectations during complex, multi-layered combat simulations. These weren't simple dogfights. These were full-scale electronic warfare environments with jamming, decoys, long-range missile engagements, and stealth aircraft in the mix. In these chaotic battles, the Gripen didn't just survive, it thrived. Swedish engineers designed the aircraft around information dominance, and that philosophy became crystal clear every time a scenario turned messy. When other jets lost situational awareness, the Gripen somehow saw everything. Much of this came from the fusion between its radar, its electronic warfare suite, and its data link, still considered one of the most advanced in the world. While many jets struggled to communicate cleanly under heavy jamming, the Gripen squadron behaved like a single organism. Each jet shared everything it saw with all the others in real time. If one Gripen detected a threat, every Gripen detected it instantly. This made them incredibly difficult to ambush. Enemy pilots sometimes complained that taking on one Gripen felt like taking on 5. The secret behind this teamwork was Sweden's doctrine. No jet fights alone. Gripens were designed to hunt in packs, overwhelming the enemy with coordination rather than brute force. In exercises against more powerful aircraft, Gripens used wolfpack tactics, one jet baiting an opponent into a trap while 2 others positioned themselves for a kill. Bigger, heavier jets couldn't match the fluidity of this maneuvering. Even when they had superior thrust, they lacked the flexibility to counter a formation that moved like water. Another moment that stunned observers came during cold weather trials. While many fighters struggle in extreme frost, the Gripen behaved like it was made for the Arctic, which of course it was. Snowstorms, icy runways, freezing crosswinds, none of it slowed the aircraft. It could start, taxi, and take off even in harsh conditions where far more expensive jets stayed grounded. Engineers had built it with Sweden's rough climate in mind, and that resilience became one of its strongest weapons. A fighter that flies while others sit on the ground is worth its weight in gold. But Gripen's most underestimated trait was its modularity. Instead of completely rebuilding the jet for upgrades, Saab created a design where entire mission systems could be swapped like Lego blocks. Need new radar? It snaps in. Need updated electronic warfare software? Upload it in hours, not months. Need a custom weapons package? The Gripen's open architecture software supports integrations that other jets can only dream of. This is why export customers love it. They aren't locked into one country's weapons, one supplier, or one upgrade path. They can tailor the Gripen to their own needs, often at a fraction of the price. Then came the famous road-based turnaround, a capability that seemed almost magical to foreign observers. Gripen lands on a straight piece of road, brakes hard, spins around, and within 10 minutes, a team of 5 technicians refuels, reloads, and sends it back into the air. In a real war, where runways become the first targets, this ability could determine which air force survives the opening attack. Countries watching these demonstrations realized something profound. The Gripen wasn't built to win on paper. It was built to win when everything goes wrong. The aircraft's safety record further cemented its reputation. Despite its incredible agility and tight performance margins, the Gripen remained remarkably safe throughout its operational life. Swedish pilots credited this to its flight control system, which constantly assisted the pilot without ever feeling intrusive. Even during aggressive maneuvers, the jet maintained smooth handling, reducing pilot workload while increasing combat efficiency. As more exercises were conducted, one pattern became impossible to ignore. Gripen pilots consistently punched above their weight. They performed kills against jets they were never supposed to beat. They slipped through dense air defense networks without being detected. They executed precision strikes with surgical accuracy using weapons from multiple nations. Each achievement added to the aircraft's growing legend as the underdog that refused to follow the rules. The world slowly realized that the Gripen's strength came not from dominating one category, but excelling in every category that truly mattered in modern warfare: awareness, survivability, flexibility, teamwork, and resilience. It wasn't the loudest or the fastest jet, it was the smartest, and that made all the difference. What most people don't realize is that the Gripen's rise wasn't just a technological achievement, it was a strategic revolution. Countries that could never dream of operating advanced fighter jets suddenly had a real option. They didn't need massive infrastructure, deep pockets, or decades of aerospace experience. They needed a jet that worked with them instead of demanding endless resources. That was the Gripen's superpower, and it quietly disrupted the global fighter market in ways no one anticipated. Before Gripen, military planners believed that a country's air power was defined by its budget. Wealthy nations operated top-tier fighters, everyone else settled for outdated aircraft. But Gripen proved that a smartly engineered jet could erase that gap. It allowed smaller nations to field a modern air force that could hold